I first met Gordon in the 70s. First become aware of Gordon and his artwork on visits to the Queen's Pleasure. At the time, corrective services and the state government were of the impression that Gordon shouldn't be released, but we see that to be a complete failure because a big effort was made to get Gordon out of that place. During the time that I knew Gordon in there, he spent all his time in developing his art, because at the time, Gordon's art, along with Elaine's photography, played a very important role in the struggle for the rights of black people in this country. Elaine's depiction of the contemporary struggle is one to be seen, and it's a pleasure to be one of those people that was involved with Elaine when she first started out. Her photographic depiction of the history of the legal service is very worthwhile, and on viewing that and viewing some of the stuff inside this building here, one reflects on all those that are not with us, but through Gordon and Elaine, the lives of people like Billy Craigie and Kevin Smith and Kevin Anderson and Mary Coe and all those that have passed on, Uncle Max Silver, that was significant in the struggle. Their spirit will be alive whilst ever Gordon and Elaine are allowed to continue with their art. Their art signifies a contemporary view of the struggle in this country amid all the stuff that came down from the north. With the greatest respect to dot art, I think there was a great absence in the history of this part of the country. Yeah, there's history there. The first contact, the invasion. There's the history of Pemulwuy's struggle, the warrior that led the resistance for some 19 years, and there's Ted Bree, his son, who took over and then led the resistance for another 11 years. The spirit of these people are depicted in the art forms of both Gordon and Elaine. And it's very important to us, those who were on the front line, it's important to us that that history, amid all the efforts to deny in contemporary writings about the struggle in this country, through all the efforts of current day Aboriginal white scribes on the history of the struggle, to go beyond and go past the important part of the struggle from the late 60s to the 70s to the 80s, the time when the front line was taken on, the time when young blacks emerged in Sydney and took up institution scholarships that were available at the time. This is just coming off the blacks emerged in Sydney. Those young blacks created the revolution, the real revolution in this country. And that revolution was responsible for the emergence of the black organisations, the Aboriginal Legal Service, the Aboriginal Medical Service, the Aboriginal Children's Service, the Aboriginal Housing Company, and of course, Black Theatre. All those people that are depicted in the stories of Elaine and Gordon were very important to that part of the struggle, because in our eyes, Redfern is the heart of the struggle, and those who are involved in the organisations and those who are responsible for the establishment of our organisations are the true heroes of this country. And their struggle will continue simply because we have people like Gordon Syron and his wife Elaine. I have the greatest respect for both of them. Gordon's first major artwork, I think, trialled by his peers, was first displayed in the Aboriginal Legal Service office in the early 80s, and it was a great pleasure to see the responses that he got both from black and white people who visited the legal service at the time and saw this important piece of artwork that depicted the struggle at the time exactly where it was. And that's Aboriginal people being tried continuously without their peers and being tried by white courts and been tried by white juries. The contemporary art in this country is important. The contemporary history of this country is important. And the contemporary history of this country can only be displayed through the artwork of contemporary artists like Gordon and Elaine. Brother Gordon and Sister Elaine, it's a great pleasure to be here. I respect your work very much. It was a great honour to be one of your first subjects in your spirit, Gordon, with your artwork, and Elaine in the spirit with your photography. This place in here should be reserved for the future history of our people and the future history of this country. What's in there is that important that groups like the Heritage Commission, and I'm glad a representative here will speak after me, the Heritage Commission has to take this proposal very seriously and to create a respectable place for Gordon and Elaine to display and continue their contemporary versions of the struggle in this country. Thank you very much for who you are. Thank you very much for your inspiration to us all, and thank you very much for your guts and intestinal fortitude and making sure that our part of the history and the role that we played in the history of the struggle of this country for our people will go on in your artwork. Thank you very much. I love you both very, very much. Thank you for all coming. Support this program. And another word to the government. If you have the money, allow the Heritage Commission to go ahead with a program that I think can only benefit the rest of us and benefit our young people in the future history. Thank you very much.